The running event was the first sport in the ancient Greek Olympics when it all began in 776 BC.
In hoplite races, the people used to wear armour such as shields and helmets, which made it harder to run the races.
In chariot races, it was very dangerous because people crashed their carts and injured themselves.
In horse racing, everyone sat on their horses and often fell off their horses and hurt themselves.
The pancration was a dangerous sport. It was well thought of for warfare. Even though it was very, very dangerous indeed, there were only 2 rules: biting or poking in the eye. The referee had a tough job. Women weren't allowed though.
It was usually big versus little. Usually the big guy won.
In the running events, people had to be naked because if they wore clothes, they would fall over.
Hoplite race. You had to be strong because you had to carry heavy armour.
Horse and chariot racing. Similar actions but more dangerous.
Make people
In the ancient Greek time, there was this thing called chariot racing. It was in the Olympics and it was very dangerous because you could fall off because you were standing on 2 wheels and a wooden plank and you had 7 horses pulling you with a race. So you had to fall off if you crashed.
Well, also, some cheaters would sneak in daggers and try to throw them, also to make them crash. Sometimes even they would try to make them crash into other people so they can win. And some of them were very fierce. Be careful next time when you try it out.
Never try this at home. When you do the long jump, you use pipes to make a tune for the long jump to swing to. They use weights to help them jump as far as they can. The stones are very heavy. You bend your knees to the beat, and then when you land, you have 2 feet on the ground and you bend your knees. You have to swing your arms back and forth.
Competitors took part in a chariot race. They were dangerous 2-wheeled chariots pulled by horses. Riders often had crashes. Surprisingly, people still took part in the races. Competitors took part in a horse race. The jockeys, who were the people who rode the horses, had to whip the horses so it went faster. The first one across the finish line was the winner.
There were 2 main types of running races. There were the stage, that was 1 length of the stadium. Also there was a short sprint, which is usually 200 metres long.
There was a hoplite race, which was good training for battle. People had to race in full armour, so it was really heavy and hard.
Chariot racing.
In ancient Greek Olympics. Chariot racing was one of the most dangerous sports in ancient Greek Olympics, as usually people fell off their chariots.
There was no back on the chariot, so if you fell backwards, you would fall off and probably die. There's only the front to hold on to. The long jump.
In ancient Greek Olympics. The long jump was a sport at the ancient Greek Olympics. It was less dangerous than the chariot race, but it was still quite dangerous as the stone weights can drop on your feet. You'll find out more about those later in the video.
Halfway you can drop the stones on the floor and then you can carry on and then you will get to the finish. The pancration.
In the ancient Greek Olympics.
In the pancration, they played it naked.
Pancration was a combination of boxing and wrestling, but you could do whatever you like, as long as it does not involve biting or poking in the eyeball. Races.
There are 3 types of races: running races, hoplite races, and chariot races. Competitors of the hoplite race took part in armour, and the competitors in the chariot race took part in clothes on a chariot.
In the running race, they took part completely naked. There were 2 different types of ordinary running races: the short sprint and the long sprint. The short sprint was 1 stage long. There was no marathon though.
Women couldn't compete except if they entered a horse.
With the javelin, you're supposed to tie leather to it to make it go further. The discus is made of stone, so it's very heavy. The person who throws it the furthest run.
In the long jump, they used weights to swing them forwards and make them go further. And in midair, they would drop the weights.
Chariot races could be very dangerous. You could bump into somebody else or fall off the chariot. But that didn't stop loads of people trying.
Boxing was a very dangerous sport. The 2 competitors kept on punching and punching until one of them was knocked unconscious or couldn't carry on. This is the fighting of the ancient Greek. There were 2 rules not allowed: poking the eyes and biting them. If they do, the referee will smack them with a stick.
Chariot racing was very dangerous because many people had fallen and hurt themselves really badly. Some people may have died. Sometimes the wheels would have broken and people would have fell. And also, the whole chariot would all collapse. In boxing, the athletes were allowed to keep hitting their opponents even after they had knocked them to the ground. It was usually little people versus big people. Big people usually won. They didn't wear gloves. Instead, they put sheepskin around their hands with leather straps tied around them. Pancration, very violent. There are 2 rules. Number 1, no poking in the eye. Number 2, no biting. Anything else at all was allowed. This was the most dangerous event ever.
Chariot racing was dangerous and many people got injured.
Many people crashed, but they still took part in the event. In running, they used wood and string as the starting line.
In running races, men ran naked.
The ancient Greek Olympics. Running! In the ancient Greek Olympics, running was one of the main events. Only men, boys and unmarried girls were allowed to participate. They had no clothes on and they ran barefoot. The starting gates were made of wood and rope, and the straight tracks was just under 200 metres long. Nowadays they give people trophies they give people medals as prizes, but back then they received an olive wreath
Made of the olives from a sacred olive tree. They also got a vase, a bit like the trophy. The track could hold 20 runners, and the stadium seats could hold 50,000 watchers. The winners would get an olive wreath, and they'd also get a bottle of olive oil, which was very precious in those days. They ran completely naked because there once was a woman who wanted to take part and took part dressed as a man. It was only till the end that they found out, and that is why they run naked. Javelin.
Javelin was very useful for war practice. When they had to throw it the furthest, they put a little string round the thing so they could throw it really far. Long jump.
The jumpers used stones to propel them forward. They'd swing them backwards, forwards until they felt like that they were getting pulled forward. The furthest would win. Chariot race.
Chariot racing was very dangerous. Most people fell off.